Our Gang is a series of American comedy short films about a group of poor neighborhood children and their adventures. Created by comedy producer Hal Roach, the series is noted for showing children behaving in a relatively natural way, as Roach and original director Robert F. McGowan worked to film the unaffected, raw nuances apparent in regular children rather than have them imitate adult acting styles. In addition, Our Gang notably put boys, girls, whites and blacks together as equals, something that broke new ground, according to film historian Leonard Maltin. That had never been done before in cinema, but has since been repeated after the success of Our Gang. The franchise began in 1922 as a series of silent short subjects produced by the Roach Studio and released by Pather Copyright Exchange. Roach changed distributors from Pather Copyright to Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer in 1927, and the series entered its most popular period after converting to sound in 1929. Production continued at the Roach Studio until 1938, when the series was sold to MGM, which produced the comedies itself until 1944. In total, the Our Gang series includes 220 shorts and one feature film, General Spanky, featuring over 41 child actors. As MGM retained the rights to the Our Gang trademark following their purchase of the production rights, the 80 Roach-produced talkies were syndicated for television under the title The Little Rascals beginning in 1955. Both Roach's The Little Rascals package and MGM's Our Gang package have since remained in syndication, with periodic new productions based on the shorts surfacing over the years, including a 1994 Little Rascals feature film released by Universal Pictures. Series overview: unlike many motion pictures featuring children and based in fantasy, producer-creator Hal Roach wrote Our Gang in real life. The majority of the children were poor, and the gang was often at odds with snobbish rich kids, officious adults and parents, and other such adversaries. The series was notable in that the gang included both blacks and females in leading parts at a time when discrimination against both groups was commonplace. Directorial approach: Senior director Robert F. McGowan helmed most of the Our Gang shorts until 1933, assisted by his nephew Anthony Mack. McGowan worked to develop a style that allowed the children to be as natural as possible, downplaying the importance of the filmmaking equipment. Scripts were written for the shorts by the Hal Roach comedy writing staff, which included at various times Leo McCarey, Frank Capra, Walter Lantz and Frank Tashlin, among others. The children, some too young to read, rarely saw the scripts. Instead, McGowan would explain the scene to be filmed to each child, immediately before it was shot, directing the children using a megaphone and encouraging improvisation. Of course, when sound came in at the end of the 1920s, McGowan modified his approach slightly, but scripts were not adhered to until McGowan left the series. Later Our Gang directors such as Gus Mines and Gordon Douglas streamlined the approach to McGowan's methods, to meet the demands of the increasingly sophisticated movie industry of the mid to late 1930s. Douglas in particular had to streamline his films, as he directed Our Gang after Roach halved the running times of the shorts from 2 reels to 1 reel. Finding and replacing the cast: as the children became too old for the series, they were replaced by new children, usually from the Los Angeles area. Eventually Our Gang talent scouting employed large-scale national contests, where thousands of children tried out for one open role. Norman Chubby Chaney, Matthew Stymie Beard and Billy Buckwheat Thomas all won contests to become members of the gang. Even when there was no talent search, the studio was bombarded by requests from parents who were sure their children were perfect for the series. Among these were future child stars Mickey Rooney and Shirley Temple, neither of whom made it past the audition stage. African American cast members. The Our Gang series is notable for being one of the first in cinema history when blacks and whites were portrayed as equals. The 4 African American child actors who held main character roles in the series were Ernie Sunshine Sammy Morrison, Alan Farina Hoskins, Matthew Stymie Beard and Billy Buckwheat Thomas. Ernie Morrison was, in fact, the first African American actor signed to a long-term contract in Hollywood history, and was the first major African American star in Hollywood history as well. In their adult years, Morrison, Beard and Thomas became some of Our Gang's staunchest defenders, maintaining that its integrated cast and innocent storylines were far from racist. They explained that the white children's characters in the series were similarly stereotyped: the freckle-faced kid, the fat kid, the neighborhood bully, the pretty blonde girl, and the mischievous toddler. "We were just a group of kids who were having fun," Stymie Beard recalled. Ernie Morrison stated, "When it came to race, Hal Roach was colorblind." Other minorities, including Asian Americans and Italian Americans, were depicted in the series, with varying levels of stereotyping. History. 1922–1925, early years. According to Roach, the idea for Our Gang came to him in 1921, when he was auditioning a child actress to appear in a film. The girl was, in his opinion, overly made up and overly rehearsed, and Roach waited for the audition to be over. After the girl and her mother left the office, Roach looked out of his window to a lumber yard across the street, where he saw some children having an argument. The children had all taken sticks from the lumber yard to play with, but the smallest child had the biggest stick, and the others were trying to force him to give it to the biggest child. After realizing that he had been watching the children bicker for 15 minutes, Roach thought a short film series about children just being themselves might be a success. Our Gang also had its roots in an aborted Roach short subject series revolving around the adventures of a black boy called Sunshine Sammy, played by Ernie Morrison. Theater owners then were wary of booking shorts focused on a black boy, and the series ended after just one entry, The Pickaninny, was produced. Morrison's Sunshine Sammy instead became one of the foci of the new Our Gang series. Under the supervision of Charlie Chase, work began on the first two reel shorts in the new Kids and Pets series, to be called Hal Roach's Rascals, later that year. Director Frederick C. Numia helmed the first pilot film, entitled Our Gang, but Roach scrapped Numia's work and had former fireman Robert F. McGowan reshoot the short. Roach tested it at several theaters around Hollywood. The attendees were very receptive, and the press clamored for lots more of those Our Gang comedies. The colloquial usage of the term Our Gang led to its becoming the series' second official title, with the title cards reading Our Gang Comedies. Hal Roach Presents His Rascals, and the series was officially called both Our Gang and Hal Roach's Rascals until 1932, when Our Gang became the sole title of the series. The first cast of Our Gang was recruited primarily of children recommended to Roach by studio employees, with the exception of Ernie Morrison, under contract to Roach. The other Our Gang recruits included Roach photographer Gene Cornman's daughter Mary Cornman, their friend's son Mickey Daniels, and family friends Alan Farina Hoskins, Jack Davis, Jackie Condon and Joe Cobb. Most early shorts were filmed outdoors and on location, and featured a menagerie of animal characters, such as Dinah the Mule. Roach's distributor Pathy Copyright released One Terrible Day, the fourth short produced for the series, as the first Our Gang short on September 10, 1922. The pilot Our Gang was not released until November 5. The Our Gang series was a success from the start, with the children's naturalism, the funny animal actors, and McGowan's direction making a successful combination. The shorts did well at the box office, and by the end of the decade the Our Gang children were pictured on numerous product endorsements. The biggest Our Gang stars then were Sunshine Sammy, Mickey Daniels, Mary Cornman, and Little Farina, who eventually became the most popular member of the 1920s gang and the most popular black child star of the 1920s. Daniels and Cornman were very popular, and often paired in Our Gang and a later teen version of the series called The Boyfriends, which Roach produced from 1930 to 1932. Other early Our Gang children were Eugene Pineapple Jackson, Scooter Lowry, Andy Samuel, Johnny Downs, and J.R. Smith. 1926–1929, New Faces and New Distributors. After Sammy, Mickey and Mary left the series in the mid-1920s, the Our Gang series entered a transitional period. The stress of directing child actors forced Robert McGowan to take doctor-mandated sabbaticals for exhaustion, leaving nephew Robert A. McGowan to direct many shorts in this period. The Mac-directed shorts are considered to be among the lesser entries in the series. New faces included Bobby Weezer Hutchins, Harry Spear, Jean Darling and Mary Ann Jackson, while stalwart Farina served as the series anchor. Also at this time, the Our Gang cast acquired an American pit bull terrier with a ring around his eye. Originally named Pansy, the dog soon became known as Pete the Pup, the most famous Our Gang pet. In 1927, Hal Roach ended his distribution arrangement with the Pather Copyright Company. He signed on to release future products through newly formed Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, which released its first Our Gang comedy in September 1927. The move to MGM offered Roach larger budgets, and the chance to have his films packaged with MGM features to the Loews Theatres chain. Some shorts around this time, particularly spoofing, contained extended scenes of the gang tormenting and teasing Farina, scenes which helped spur the claims of racism which many other shorts did not warrant. These shorts marked the departure of Jackie Condon, who had been with the group from the beginning of the series. 1929–1931, entering the sound era, starting in 1928, Our Gang comedies were distributed with phonographic discs that contained synchronized music and sound effect tracks for the shorts. In spring 1929, the Roach sound stages were converted for sound recording, and Our Gang made its all-talking debut in April 1929 with the 25-minute Small Talk. It took a year for McGowan and the gang to fully adjust to talking pictures, during which time they lost Joe Cobb, Gene Darling and Harry Spear, and added Norman Chubby Chaney, Dorothy DeBorba, Matthew Stymie Beard, Donald Haynes and Jackie Cooper. Cooper proved to be the personality the series had been missing since Mickey Daniels left, and was featured prominently in three 1930–1931 Our Gang films, Teacher's Pet, School's Out, and Love Business. These three shorts explored Jackie Cooper's crush on the new schoolteacher Miss Crabtree, played by June Marlowe. Cooper soon won the lead role in Paramount's feature film Skippy, and Roach sold his contract to MGM in 1931. Other Our Gang members appearing in the early sound shorts included Buddy McDonald, Bobby Bonedust Young, and Shirley Jean Rickett. Many also appeared in a group cameo appearance in the all-star comedy short The Stolen Jewels. Beginning with When the Wind Blows, background music scores were added to the soundtracks of most of the Our Gang films. Initially, the music consisted of orchestral versions of then-popular tunes. Marvin Hatley had served as the music director of Hal Roach Studios since 1929, and RCA employee Leroy Shield joined the company as a part-time musical director in mid-1930. Hatley and Shield's jazz-influenced scores, first featured in Our Gang with 1930's Pups as Pups, became recognizable trademarks of Our Gang, Laurel and Hardy, and the other Roach series and films. Another 1930 short, Teacher's Pet, marked the first use of the Our Gang theme song, Good Old Days, composed by Leroy Shield and featuring a notable saxophone solo. Shield and Hatley's scores would support Our Gang's on-screen action regularly through 1934, after which series entries with background scores became less frequent. In 1930, Roach began production on The Boyfriends, a short-subject series which was essentially a teenaged version of Our Gang. Featuring Our Gang alumni Mickey Daniels and Mary Kornman among its cast, The Boyfriends was produced for 2 years, with 15 installments in total. 1931–1933, transition. Jackie Cooper left Our Gang in early 1931 at the cusp of another major shift in the lineup, as Farina Hoskins, Chubby Chaney, and Mary Ann Jackson all departed a few months afterward. Our Gang entered another transitional period, similar to that of the mid-1920s. Stymie Beard, Weezer Hutchins, and Dorothy DeBorba carried the series during this period, aided by Sherwood Bailey and Kendall Breezy Brisbane McComas. Unlike the mid-1920s period, McGowan sustained the quality of the series with the help of the several regular cast members and the Roach writing staff. Many of these shorts include early appearances of Jerry Tucker and Wally Albright, who later became series regulars. New Roach discovery George Spanky McFarlane joined the gang late in 1931 at the age of 3 and, accepting a brief hiatus during the summer of 1938, remained an Our Gang actor for 11 years. At first appearing as the tag-along toddler of the group, and later finding an accomplice in Scotty Beckett in 1934, Spanky quickly became Our Gang's biggest child star. He won parts in a number of outside features, appeared in many of the now numerous Our Gang product endorsements and spin-off merchandise items, and popularized the expressions okie dokie and okie doke. Dickie Moore, a veteran child actor, joined in the middle of 1932, and remained with the series for 1 year. Other members in these years included Mary Ann Jackson's brother Dickie Jackson, John Nahakolum, and Tommy Bond. Upon Dickie Moore's departure in mid-1933, long-term Our Gang members such as Weezer and Dorothy left the series as well. 1933–1936, New Directions, Robert McGowan, burned out from the stress of working with the child actors, had as early as 1931 attempted to resign from his position as Our Gang producer-director. Lacking a replacement, Hal Roach convinced him to stay on for another year. At the start of the 1933–34 season, the Our Gang series format was significantly altered to accommodate McGowan and convince him to stay another year. The first 2 entries of the season, Bedtime Worries and Wild Poses, the latter of which featured a surprise cameo by Laurel and Hardy as babies, released in the fall of 1933, focused on Spanky McFarland and his hapless parents, portrayed by Gay Seabrook and Emerson Tracy, in a family-oriented situation comedy format, similar to the format later popular on television. A smaller cast of Our Gang kids Stymie Beard, Tommy Bond, Jerry Tucker, and Georgie Billings were featured in supporting roles with reduced screen time. An unsatisfied McGowan abruptly left after Wild Poses. Coupled with a brief suspension in Spanky McFarland's work permit, Our Gang went into a 4-month hiatus, during which the series was revised to a format similar to its original style, and German-born Gus Meins was hired as the new series director. Hi Neighbor, released in March 1934, ended the hiatus and was the first series entry directed by Meins, a veteran of the once-competing Buster Brown short subject series. Gordon Douglas served as Meins' assistant director, and Fred Neumeyer alternated directorial duties with Meins for a handful of shorts. Meins' Our Gang shorts were less improvisational than McGowan's, and featured a heavier reliance on dialogue. McGowan returned 2 years later to direct his Our Gang swan song, Divot Diggers, released in 1936. Retaining Spanky McFarland, Stymie Beard, Tommy Bond, and Jerry Tucker, the revised series added Scotty Beckett, Wally Albright, and Billy Thomas, who soon began playing the character of Stymie's sister Buckwheat, though Thomas was a male. Semi-regular actors such as Jackie Lynn Taylor, Marianne Edwards, and Leonard Keebrick, as the neighborhood bully, joined the series at this time. Tommy Bond and Wally Albright left in the middle of 1934. Jackie Lynn Taylor and Marianne Edwards would depart by 1935. Early in 1935, Carl Switzer and his brother Harold joined the gang after impressing Roach with an impromptu performance at the studio commissary. While Harold would eventually be relegated to the role of a background player, Carl, nicknamed Alfalfa, eventually replaced Scotty Beckett as Spanky's sidekick. Stymie Beard left the cast soon after, and the Buckwheat character morphed subtly into a male. That same year, Darla Hood, Patsy May, and Eugene Porky Lee joined the gang, as Scotty Beckett departed for a career in features. The final Roach years, Our Gang was very successful during the 1920s and the early 1930s. However, by 1934, many movie theater owners were increasingly dropping two-reel comedies like Our Gang and the Laurel and Hardy series from their bills, and running double feature programs instead. The Laurel and Hardy series went from film shorts to features exclusively in mid-1935. By 1936, Hal Roach began debating plans to discontinue Our Gang until Louis B. Mayer, head of Roach's distributor MGM, convinced Roach to keep the popular series in production. Roach agreed, producing shorter, one-reel Our Gang comedies. The first one-reel Our Gang short, Board of Education, marked the Our Gang directorial debut of former assistant director Gordon Douglas, and won the Academy Award for Best Short Subject in 1937. As part of the arrangement with MGM to continue Our Gang, Roach received the clearance to produce an Our Gang feature film, General Spanky, hoping that he might move the series to features as was done with Laurel and Hardy. directed by Gordon Douglas and Fred Newmere, General Spanky featured Spanky, Buckwheat, and Alfalfa in a sentimental, Shirley Temple-esque story set during the Civil War. The film focused more on the adult leads than the children, and was a box office disappointment. No further Our Gang features were made. After years of gradual cast changes, the troupe standardized in 1936 with the move to one-reel shorts. Most casual fans of Our Gang are particularly familiar with the 1936-1939 incarnation of the cast, Spanky, Alfalfa, Darla, Buckwheat, and Porky, with recurring characters such as neighborhood bullies Butch and William and Bookworm Waldo. Tommy Bond, an off-and-on member of the gang since 1932, returned to the series as Butch beginning with the 1937 short Glove Taps. Sidney Kiebrick, younger brother of Leonard Kiebrick, played Butch's crony, the Worm. Glove Taps also featured the first appearance of Darwood Kay as the bespectacled and foppish Waldo. In later shorts, both Butch and Waldo would be portrayed as Alfalfa's main rivals in his pursuit of Darla's affections. Other popular elements in these mid to late 1930s shorts include the He-Man Woman Haters Club from Hearts a Thumps and Male and Female, the Laurel and Hardy-ish interaction between Alfalfa and Spanky, and the comic tag-along team of Porky and Buckwheat. Roach produced the final two-reel Our Gang short, a high-budget musical special entitled Our Gang Follies of 1938, in 1937 as a parody of MGM's Broadway Melody of 1938. In Follies of 1938, Alfalfa, who aspires to be an opera singer, falls asleep and dreams that his old pal Spanky has become the rich owner of a swanky Broadway nightclub, where Darla and Buckwheat perform, making hundreds and thousands of dollars. As the profit margins continued to decline due to double features, Roach could no longer afford to continue producing Our Gang. However, MGM did not want the series discontinued, and agreed to take over production. On May 31, 1938, Roach sold MGM the Our Gang unit, including the rights to the name and the contracts for the actors and writers, for $25,000. After delivering the Laurel and Hardy feature blockheads, Roach ended his distribution contract with MGM as well, moving to United Artists and leaving the short subjects business. The final Roach-produced short in the Our Gang series, Hide and Shriek, was Roach's final short subject production. The MGM era, The Little Ranger was the first Our Gang short to be produced in-house at MGM. Gordon Douglas was loaned out from Hal Roach Studios to direct The Little Ranger and another early MGM short, Aladdin's Lantern, while MGM hired newcomer George Sidney as the permanent series director. Our Gang would be used by MGM as a training ground for future feature directors. Sidney, Edward Kahn and C. Enfield all worked on Our Gang before moving on to features. Another director, Herbert Glazer, remained a second unit director outside of his work on the series. Nearly all of the 52 MGM-produced Our Gangs were written by former Roach director Hal Law and former junior director Robert A. McGowan. Robert A. McGowan was credited for these shorts as Robert McGowan. As a result, moviegoers have been confused for decades about whether this Robert McGowan and the senior director of the same name at Roach were two separate people or not. By 1938, Alfalfa had surpassed Spanky as Our Gang's lead character. Spanky McFarlane had departed from the series just before its sale to MGM. Casting his replacement was delayed until after the move to MGM, at which point it was arranged to rehire McFarlane. Porky was replaced in 1939 by Mickey Gubitosi, later known by the stage name of Robert Blake. Tommy Bond, Darwood Kay, and Alfalfa Switzer all left the series in 1940, and Billy Froggy Laughlin and Janet Burston were added to the cast. By the end of 1941, Darla Hood had departed from the series, and Spanky McFarlane followed her within a year. Buckwheat remained in the cast until the end of the series as the sole holdover from the Roach era. Overall, the Our Gang films produced by MGM were not as well received as the Roach-produced shorts had been, largely due to MGM's inexperience with the brand of slapstick comedy that Our Gang was famous for and on MGM's insistence on keeping Alfalfa, Spanky and Buckwheat in the series as they became teens. The MGM entries are considered by many film historians and the Our Gang children themselves, to be lesser films than the Roach entries. The children's performances were often stilted, with the fully scripted dialogue recited stiffly instead of spoken naturally. The stories were heavy-handed, with adult situations driving the action, and the films often incorporated a moral, a civics lesson, or a patriotic theme. The series was given a permanent setting in the fictitious town of Greenpoint, and the mayhem caused by the Our Gang kids was toned down significantly. Exhibitors noticed the drop in quality, and often complained that the series was slipping. When 6 of the 13 shorts released between 1942 and 1943 sustained losses rather than turning profits, MGM discontinued Our Gang, releasing the final short, Dancing Romeo, on April 29, 1944. Since 1937, Our Gang had been featured as a licensed comic strip in the UK comic The Dandy, drawn by Dudley D. Watkins. Starting in 1942, MGM licensed Our Gang to Dell Comics for the publication of Our Gang comics, featuring the Gang, Barney Bear, and Tom and Jerry. The strips in The Dandy ended 3 years after the demise of the Our Gang shorts, in 1947. Our Gang Comics outlasted the series by 5 years, changing its name to Tom and Jerry Comics in 1949. In 2006, Fantagraphics Books began issuing a series of volumes reprinting the Our Gang stories, mostly written and drawn by Pogo creator Walt Kelly. Later years in the Little Rascals revival, the Little Rascals television package, when Hal Roach sold Our Gang to MGM, he had retained the option to buy back the rights to the Our Gang trademark, provided he produced no more children's comedies in the Our Gang vein. In the mid-1940s, he decided to create a new film property in the Our Gang mold, and forfeited his right to buy back the Our Gang name to obtain permission to produce 2 Cincola featurettes, Curly and Who Killed Doc Robin. Neither film was critically or financially successful, and Roach turned to re-releasing the original Our Gang comedies. In 1949, MGM sold Hal Roach the backlog of 1927 1938 Our Gang silent and talking shorts, while retaining the rights to the Our Gang name, the 52 Our Gang films it produced, and the feature General Spanky. As per the terms of the sale, Roach was required to remove the MGM Lion Studio logo and all instances of the names or logos Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, Loews Incorporated, and Our Gang from the reissued film prints. Using a modified version of the series' original name, Roach repackaged the 80-sound Our Gang shorts as the Little Rascals. Monogram Pictures and its successor, Allied Artists, reissued the films to theaters beginning in 1951. Allied Artists' television department, Interstate Television, syndicated the films to TV in 1955. Under its new name, the Little Rascals enjoyed renewed popularity on television, and new Little Rascals comic books, toys, and other licensed merchandise was made available for purchase. Seeing the potential of the property, MGM began distributing its own Our Gang shorts to television in 1956, and the 2 separate packages of Our Gang films competed with each other in syndication for 3 decades. Some stations bought both packages and played them alongside each other under the Little Rascals show banner. The television rights for the Silent Path copyright Our Gang comedies were sold to National Telpix and other distributors, who distributed the films under titles such as The Mischief Makers and Those Lovable Skullorgs with Their Gangs. The MGM shorts filmed from 1938 to 1944 were shown on TBS and TNT for many years as early morning programming filler. King World's acquisition and edits, in 1963, Hal Roach Studios, by then run by Roach's son Hal Jr., filed for bankruptcy. A struggling novice syndication agent named Charles King purchased the television rights to the Little Rascals in the bankruptcy proceedings and returned the shorts to television. The success of the Little Rascals paved the way for King's new company, King World Productions, to grow into one of the largest television syndicators in the world. In 1971, because of controversy over some racial humor in the shorts, and other content deemed to be in bad taste, King World made significant edits to Little Rascals TV prints. Many series entries were trimmed by 2 to 4 minutes, while others were cut to nearly half of their original length. At the same time, 8 Little Rascals shorts were pulled from the King World television package altogether. Lazy Days, Moan and Groan, Incorporated, The Spin-Fetched guest starred A Tough Winter, Little Daddy, A Lady in a Lamp, The Kid from Borneo, and Little Sinner were deleted from the syndication package because of perceived racism, while Big Ears was deleted for dealing with the subject of divorce. The early talkie Railroadin' was never part of the television package because its soundtrack was considered lost, although it was later found and restored to the film. In the early 2000s, the 71 films in the King World package were re-edited, reinstating many edits made in 1971 and the original Our Gang title cards. These new television prints made their debut on the American Movie Classics cable network in 2001 and ran until 2003. New Little Rascals Productions. In 1977, Norman Lear tried to revive the Rascals franchise, taping 3 pilot episodes of The Little Rascals. The pilots were not bought, but were notable for including Gary Coleman. 1979 brought The Little Rascals Christmas Special, an animated holiday special produced by Murakami Wolf Swenson, written by Romeo Muller and featuring the voice work of Darla Hood and Matthew Stymie Beard. Hanna-Barbera brought the animated gang back from 1982 to 1984 in a series of Little Rascals television cartoons for ABC Saturday mornings. Many producers, including Our Gang alumnus Jackie Cooper, made pilots for new Little Rascals television series, but none ever went into production. From 1982 to 1984, Hanna-Barbera produced a Saturday morning cartoon version of The Little Rascals, which aired on ABC during the Pac-Man Little Rascals Richie Rich show. It starred the voices of Patty Maloney as Darla, Peter Cullen as Petty and Officer Ed, Scott Minville as Spanky, Julie McWhirter-Dees as Alfalfa, Porky and the Worm, Shiva Ross as Buckwheat, and B.J. Ward as Butch and Waldo. In 1994, Amblin Entertainment and Universal Pictures released The Little Rascals, a feature film based loosely on the series and featuring interpretations of classic Our Gang shorts, including Hearts A Thumps, Russian Ballet, and Hi Neighbor. The film, directed by Penelope Spheres, starred Travis Tedford as Spanky, Bug Hall as Alfalfa, and Ross Bagley as Buckwheat. With cameos by the Olsen twins, Whoopi Goldberg, Mel Brooks, Reba McEntire, Daryl Hannah, Donald Trump and Raven Simona. Copyright The Little Rascals was a moderate success for Universal, bringing in $51,764,950 at the box office. In 2014, Universal Pictures released a direct-to-video film, The Little Rascals Save the Day. This was a second film loosely based on the series and featuring interpretations of classic Our Gang shorts, including Helping Grandma, Mike Fright, and Birthday Blues. The film was directed by Alex Zamm, and starred Jet Jensmeer as Spanky, Drew Justice as Alfalfa, Eden Wood as Darla, and Doris Roberts as the kid's adopted grandma. Legacy and influence. The characters in this series are well-known cultural icons, and identified solely by their first names. The characters of Alfalfa, Spanky, Buckwheat, Darla, and Froggy were especially well known. Like many child actors, the Our Gang children were typecast and had trouble outgrowing their Our Gang images. Several Our Gang alumni, among them Carl Switzer, Scotty Beckett, Norman Chaney, Billy Laughlin, Donald Haynes and Bobby Hutchins, died before the age of 40. This led to rumors of an Our Gang Little Rascals curse, a rumor popularized by a 2002 True Hollywood Story documentary entitled The Curse of the Little Rascals. The Snopes.com website debunks the rumor of an Our Gang curse, stating that there was no pattern of unusual deaths when taking all of the major Our Gang stars into account, despite the deaths of a select few. The children's work in the series was largely unrewarded in later years, although Spanky McFarlane got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame posthumously in 1994. Neither he nor any other Our Gang children received any residuals or royalties from reruns of the shorts or licensed products with their likenesses. The only remittances were their weekly salaries during their time in the gang, ranging from $40 a week for newcomers to $200 or more weekly for stars like Farina, Spanky, and Alfalfa. One notable exception is Jackie Cooper, who was later nominated for an Academy Award and had a career as an adult actor. Cooper is known today for portraying Perry White in the 1978–1987 Superman movies, and for directing episodes of TV series such as MASH and Superboy. The 1930 Our Gang short Pups is Pups was deemed culturally significant by the United States Library of Congress, and selected for preservation in the National Film Registry in 2004. Imitators, followers, and frauds. Due to the popularity of Our Gang, many similar kid comedy short film series were created by competing studios. Among the most notable are the Kiddie Troopers, featuring future comedian Eddie Bracken. Baby Burlesques, featuring Shirley Temple. The Buster Brown Comedies. And Our Gang's main competitor, the Toy Nerville trolley-based Mickey McGuire series starring Mickey Rooney. Less notable imitations series include the McDougal-Ully Gang, the Bunch and Our Kids. There is evidence that Our Gang-style productions were filmed in small towns and cities around the country using local children actors in the 1920s and 1930s. These productions did not appear to be affiliated with Hal Roach, but often used storylines from the shorts of the period, and sometimes went so far as to identify themselves as being Our Gang productions. In later years, many adults falsely claimed to have been members of Our Gang. A long list of people, including persons famous in other capacities such as Nanette Fabray, Eddie Bracken, and gossip columnist Joyce Aber, claim to be or have been publicly called former Our Gang children. Bracken's official biography was once altered to state that he appeared in Our Gang instead of the Kiddie Troopers, although he himself had no knowledge of the change. Among notable Our Gang imposters is Jack Bothwell, who claimed to have portrayed a character named Freckles, going so far as to appear on the game show To Tell the Truth in the fall of 1957, perpetuating this fraud. In 2008, a Darla Hood imposter, Molly Barron, died claiming to have appeared as Darla in Our Gang. Another is Bill English, a grocery store employee who appeared on the October 5, 1990, episode of the ABC investigative television news magazine 20/20 claiming to have been Buckwheat. Following the broadcast, Spanky McFarland informed the media of the truth, and in December, William Thomas, Jr. filed a lawsuit against ABC for negligence. Persons and entities named after Our Gang, a number of groups, companies, and entities have been inspired by or named after Our Gang. The folk rock group Spanky and Our Gang was named for the troupe, but had no connection with it. In addition, there are Little Rascals and Our Gang restaurants and daycare centers in various locations throughout the United States. Home video releases and rights to the films. 16mm, VHS, and DVD releases. For years, Black Hawk Films released 79 of the 80 Roach talkies on 16mm film. The sound discs for railroading had been lost since the 1940s, and a silent print was available for home movie release until 1982, when the film's sound discs were located in the MGM vault and the short was restored with sound. Like the television prints, Black Hawk's Little Rascals reissues featured custom title cards in place of the original Our Gang logos, per MGM's 1949 arrangement with Hal Roach not to distribute the series under its original title. Edits to the films were the replacements of the original Our Gang title cards with Little Rascals titles. In 1983, with the VHS home video market growing, Black Hawk began distributing Little Rascals VHS tapes through catalog, with 3 shorts per tape. Black Hawk Films was acquired in 1983 by National Telefilm Associates, later being renamed Republic Pictures. Republic would release Little Rascals VHS volumes for retail purchase in non-comprehensive collections through the rest of the 1980s and early 1990s. By then, all but 11 of the Roach-era sound films were available on home video. Cabin Fever Hallmark releases. In 1993, Republic sold the home video rights to the 80 sound Roach shorts and some available silent shorts to Cabin Fever Entertainment. Cabin Fever acquired the rights to use the original Our Gang title cards and MGM logos, and for the first time in over 50 years, the Roach sound Our Gang comedies could be commercially exhibited in the original format. 21 VHS volumes were released between 1994 and 1995, hosted by Leonard Maltin. With 4 shorts per tape, Cabin Fever made all 80 Roach sound shorts, and 4 silents, available for purchase, uncut and with digitally restored picture and sound. Cabin Fever began pressing DVD versions of their first 12 Little Rascals VHS volumes, but went out of business in 1998 before their release. The Little Rascals home video rights were then sold to Hallmark Entertainment in 1999, who released the DVDs without an official launch while cleaning out their warehouse in early 2000. Hallmark colorized a few Our Gang shorts and released them across 8 VHS tapes. Later that year, the first 10 Cabin Fever volumes were re-released on VHS with new packaging, and the first 2 volumes were released on DVD as The Little Rascals, Volumes 1 and 2. 2 further Hallmark DVD collections featured 10 shorts apiece, and were released in 2003 and 2005, respectively. From 2006 to 2009, Legend Films produced colorized versions of 24 Our Gang comedies, which were released across 5 Little Rascals DVDs. RHI Entertainment and Genius Products released an 8-disc DVD set, The Little Rascals The Complete Collection, on October 28, 2008. This set includes all 80 Hal Roach produced Our Gang sound short films. Most of the collection uses the 1994 restorations, while 16 shorts are presented with older Black Hawk Films transfers as their remastered copies were lost or misplaced during preparations. On June 14, 2011, Vivendi Entertainment re-released 7 of the 8 DVDs from RHI Genius Products The Little Rascals The Complete Collection as individual releases. This includes the 80 shorts replacing the Black Hawk transfers on the previous set with their respective 1994 restorations but excludes the disc featuring the extras. MGM Warner Brothers releases. During the 1980s and 1990s, MGM released several non-comprehensive VHS tapes of its shorts, and a VHS of the feature General Spanky. After video rights for the classic MGM library reverted to their new owners, Turner Entertainment Warner Brothers, in the late 1990s, 4 of the MGM Our Gang shorts appeared as bonus features on Warner Brothers-issued classic film DVD releases. On September 1, 2009, Warner Home Video released all 52 MGM Our Gang shorts in a compilation titled The Our Gang Collection, 1938–1942 for manufacture-on-demand DVD and digital download. The set is available by mail order and digital download as part of the Warner Archive Collection, and is available for purchase via the iTunes Store. There are many unofficial Our Gang and Little Rascals home video collections available from several other distributors, comprising shorts which have fallen into the public domain. Status of ownership: currently, the rights to the Our Gang Little Rascals shorts are scattered. Sonar Entertainment owns the copyrights of and holds the theatrical and home video rights to the Roach-produced Our Gang shorts. Sonar acquired these after absorbing Hal Roach Studios in 1988, and both Roach's estate and Cabin Fever Entertainment in the late 1990s. CBS Television Distribution, formed by the merger of King World Entertainment with CBS Paramount Domestic Television, owns the rights to the Little Rascals trademark and the Little Rascals television package. CBS offers original black and white and colorized prints for syndication. The King World CBS Little Rascals package was featured as exclusive programming for the American Movie Classics Network from August 2001 to December 2003, with Frankie Muniz hosting. As part of a month-long tribute to Hal Roach Studios, Turner Classic Movies televised a 24-hour marathon of Roach Our Gang shorts, both sound films and silents on January 4, 5, 2011. The MGM-produced Our Gang shorts, General Spanky, and the rights to the Our Gang name are owned by Warner Brothers Entertainment as part of the Turner Entertainment Library. Turner Entertainment acquired these assets in 1986 when founder, Ted Turner, purchased the pre-1986 MGM library. Turner merged with Time Warner in 1996. The television rights for the MGM Our Gang shorts belong to Warner Brothers Television Distribution, and the video rights to Warner Home Video. The MGM Our Gangs today appear periodically on the Turner Classic Movies cable network. The widely circulated rumor that entertainer Bill Cosby bought up the rights to Our Gang to keep the racial stereotypes off television is false. Cosby never owned any rights to the series at any time. Our Gang cast and personnel. The following is a listing of the primary child actors in the Our Gang comedies. They are grouped by the era during which they joined the series. Roach silent period, Ernie Sunshine Sammy Morrison, Mickey Daniels, Mary Kornman, Jackie Condon, Alan Farina Hoskins, Joe Cobb, Eugene Pineapple Jackson, Scooter Lowry, J.R. Smith, Gene Darling, Bobby Weezer Hutchins, Harry Spear, Mary Ann Jackson, Pete the Pup, Roach sound period, Norman Chubby Chaney, Jackie Cooper, Donald Haynes, Dorothy DeBorba, Matthew Stymie Beard, Jerry Tucker, Kendall McComas, Dickie Moore, George Spanky McFarland, Tommy Bond, Jackie Lynn Taylor, Scotty Beckett, Billy Buckwheat Thomas, Carl Alfalfa Switzer, Darla Hood, Eugene Porky Lee, Darwood Waldo K., MGM period, Mickey Gubitosi, Billy Froggy Lachlan, Janet Burston. As of May 2014, Living Our Gang actors included Robert Blake, Sidney Kubrick, Gene Darling, Marianne Edwards, Dickie Moore, Jerry Tucker, Lassie Lou Ahern, Mildred Kornman, and Leonard Landy. Notable Our Gang comedies. The following is a listing of selected Our Gang comedies, considered by Leonard Maltin and Richard W. Band to be among the best and most important in the series. 1923, The Champagne, Derby Day, 1924, High Society, 1925, Your Own Backyard, One Wild Ride, 1929, Cat, Dog and Company, Small Talk, 1930, The First 7 Years, Pups is Pups, Bear Shooters, Teacher's Pet, School's Out, 1931, Love Business, Little Daddy, Fly My Kite, Dogs is Dogs, 1932, Readin' and Writin', The Pooch, Hook and Ladder, Freewheeling, Birthday Blues, 1933, The Kid from Borneo, Mush and Milk, Bedtime Worries, 1934, Hi Neighbor. Mama's Little Pirate, 1935, Beginner's Luck, Our Gang Follies of 1936, Divot Diggers, Board of Education, General Spanky, 1937, Reunion in Rhythm, Glove Taps, Hearts a Thumps, Russian Ballet, Nightingales, Male and Female, Our Gang Follies of 1938, Three Men in a Tub, Hide and Shriek, 1939, Alfalfa's Aunt, Cousin Wilbur, 1940, Goin' Fishin', Waldo's Last Stand, Kiddie Cure, 1942, Going to Press, References, Notes. Bibliography, Bond, Tommy, W. Giannini, Ron. Dan Wright. It's Butch, Memories of Our Gang The Little Rascals. Delaware, Morgan Printing. ISBN 0-9630976-5-2. Cooper, Jackie. Please Don't Shoot My Dog, The Autobiography of Jackie Cooper. New York, Penguin Putnam. ISBN 0-425-07483-8. Maltin, Leonard and Ban, Richard W. The Little Rascals, The Life and Times of Our Gang. New York, Crown Publishing 3 Rivers Press. ISBN 0-517-58325-9, external links, the Hustis family website is Our Gang Pictures, music, sound bites, episodes, and links. Steve Ramsey's Our Gang Online. Our Gang Online in the Wayback Machine. King World Productions Little Rascals licensing site. The Lucky Corner detailed Our Gang filmography, Gene Darling's website. Shirley Jean Ricketts' website, Winship, Mary. Our Gang. All About Thema including Farina. Photoplay Magazine 26, 64 65, 108 €. Retrieved February 3, 2013 via Media History Digital Library A.